Hello, I am Luis Oceja, Professor of Social Psychology at the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid.
Hello, I'm Pablo Gavilán. I'm a researcher at Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. And today we are going to talk about motivation and social action.
After presenting this chapter, you will better answer the following questions. First, what is and why does occur a social action? Second, what are the main motivations for any action, but specifically a social action? And third, why do students want to be involved in pro bono activities? Well, starting with the first question, what is a social action? A social action is an action that comes from the individual, from his or her desires, needs, intentions. But in this case, it has a clear social side because it's devoted to try to solve a problem that is related with the society in general, and always it has to be addressed in groups, in teams. You can work as an individual or individually for a while, but ultimately you will have to work in groups to solve or to address these problems. Well, a social action is also can be reactive when you see a problem that for any reason drew your attention, or is or connected with your values, or well, you are interested in solving it. And it can be proactive when you not only pay attention to that and want to do something, is when you start an action and you keep the initiative to maintain that action in order to find not only one solution but to create different kind of solutions and to address it in a continuously way. So that's important. For sure, it can be both reactive and proactive in different moments, and you can be very reactive at the beginning, and then you can keep being very proactive, and you can combine both attitudes depending on the moment and the situation in which you are. Why does it occur, social action? And this is very important. Well, there is a classic distinction about motivation. One is the intrinsic motivation, and the other talks about or refers to the extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation refers to the desire to look for new opportunities and experience to get individuals' growth and development. That means that when you are doing something because you are performing an action because you think that action provides you with something that increase you as a person, and you are doing it because of the action by itself. Is the typical distinction between when a kid start reading because he really wants to understand the story, and or the extrinsic motivation when the kid or any individual start an action because he or she wants to obtain an external reward. Well, we always will try to keep the balance between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, and actually they are not mutually exclusive. You can start an action induced by the external rewards, and through the time you can get involved in that action, and then you don't need those rewards in order to maintain it. Actually, there is the typical situation in which the extrinsic motivation is more important is, well, at the beginning, when the individual maybe he or she doesn't have enough resources to get involved, or when the situation puts you in a lot of pressure, and then you are more inclined to get pleasure or avoid pain instead of trying to be better to grow. That's the idea. Again, these are not these are different, but they are not mutually exclusive, and you can, and actually you should try to establish a sweet interconnection between them. What are the main motivations for social action? Well, first, when we pay attention to the individual, there are three basic universal needs or motivations that usually lead our action. One is related to be coherent with your own attitudes, values, principles. We don't like people who are not coherent. We don't like people who say one thing and do other thing. And we like people who we think that we can trust them. Well, that's the idea about trying to be coherent with your own values. We like ourselves. Our self-esteem is increased when we see that we do what we say we want to do. When there is a relationship between desires, intentions, attitudes explicitly said, and our actions. So coherence. The other is feeling in control. For us, it's very, very important to have the sensation or the feeling that what we are doing, that we can do what we are doing and we can change whenever we want, or when we think that we should. We don't like those situations in which we think that we are like a leaf in the middle of a strong wind. Then it's very important to bear in mind that this feeling of control is subjective. So regardless if we really think that, or regardless if we are really in control, it's very important to have that feeling, and we look for it. And finally, we like doing things in a right way, in what we consider that is going to be regarded as good, as positive, as something that it made a change in a positive way. So we like to be truthful, but we like to be competent. That's the idea. So coherence, control, truth, these are the universal needs that every single individual look for. And from the social side, when we go beyond our self-interest, we may have in mind other kind of welfare. It's normal and it's good that we should take care for our self-esteem, for our it's good to feel that we are valued. However, unfortunately, human beings, we are able to go beyond, to transcend beyond our interest. The research has highlighted four different kinds of motives that they are guided by ultimate goals that go beyond this self-interest. One is the altruism. When you are very focused on the another specific individual's welfare, when you think that this person, he is very needy for whatever reason, and you really want to do something in order to increase his or her welfare, you want to help her, at the sake of his or her benefit, then we can talk about altruism. Trying to be brief, there are three other motives that when you try to increase the welfare not of a specific individual but a specific collective. You are very concerned about children in your neighborhood, or you are very concerned about women in general, or you are very concerned about young people in these difficult situations. When you are very concerned and you want to increase the welfare of a specific social categories, but specific groups, then we can refer this motive as a collectivism. Then we have principalism, when your behavior is led by your own values, your principles. Well, the typical principles are justice, or to be equal, and to try to maintain not only the equality but the dignity of different people. So you are not that interested in one specific person, like in altruism, or one specific group, like in collectivism. You are trying to follow one principle that you developed. So it's very important to develop these kinds of principles, because then you are going to try to be coherent, as I recently I just said. And finally, we recently work on the study and research of one motive that we call it quixotism, because of two reasons. First, because in this case the ultimate goal is to increase the welfare of the world as a whole. The idea is not to do something in order to help a specific individual, collective, or following your principle, but to make this world a better place. That means that, yeah, you can help one individual, but you are doing that in the sense that you think that is the best way available in that moment to make the world a better place.
Now we are going to focus on students and pro bono. So specifically in what are the main motivations for students to be involved in a pro bono action. For this, we first start with some questions. Do the students know and understand what a pro bono program is? This is in the first place, the first question. Do we need to offer them some ECTS credits, or we need to focus on other motivational aspects of the experience? Why they want to participate in this type of experiences? Because we know that the students, they have a lot of things to do and a lot of initiatives to choose from, and why this pro bono experience is one for them to pick up. To answer these questions, we did a research involving more than 1,600 students across the 5 countries participating in the BEESE project, and we got some findings that we are going to share with you. First, we need to understand that pro bono is a social action, because it combines a professional activity but with a pro-social action, and we mean that when you are helping an NGO with your professional skills, you are trying to help the ultimate goal of the NGO. You are making the NGO stronger, and for that, the activity that you are doing is a type of social action. But you are also developing some skills, because you are using your professional skills to help this cause, and not only, I don't know, planting trees or something like that. You are using what you know, what you can do. And when we were asking about what is pro bono to the students, they normally they don't know what it is, because somehow it's something new. It's not so spread in the world, the pro bono activities, and for the students that they are just starting to understand the professional world, this type of activities is something new for them. So this is the first lesson. Pro bono is something new for them, so we need to explain what pro bono is. And then the main motivations for pro bono activities for students, we were asking them different motivations. As Luis Oceja was referring to, there are many motivational factors, but what we found out is that the willingness to undertake the challenges that may make the world a better place, what is called the quixotism, is the main motivational factor. If you think it for a moment, you will see that since this is a social action, and this motivation is trying to make the world a better place, but taking an action is kind of the same, right? It's connected. The motivation to do something good in a proactive way, with the activity of doing something good with your skills. And this is an intrinsic and social motivational force, and we found out that is the strongest one around the motivational forces in the research. So if you have to pick just one motivational force, is this quixotism motivation. However, there are other motivations that also play a role for students. And specifically in some cases, if we think about the students that are in the last year and they are thinking about the next the job that they are going to get, they are more focused on other aspects, and maybe the social aspect of the pro bono is not the main one for them, and instead of that, maybe they are focusing more on the experience that they are going to get putting their skills into practice. So as pro bono is an activity where you are using what you are learning and putting this in a real case in practice, it's also very important to highlight this aspect of pro bono, that you are helping an organization, but you are also putting your skills into practice in a real case, in the real world. And when we are performing the pilots during the BEESE project, we found out that many students, and this was not part of the extensive research, this was part of the pilots, but these observations were also very interesting, that for many of them it was the first experience knowing how an NGO is working, or even knowing how work is done. So for them it was very important as a first experience to put their learnings in practice. When we were asking them if ECTS credits or things like that are important for them, we found out that no, for them it's not important, and for them it's more important this experience, even if they put it or not in their CV, and helping this organization. So our main recommendation is to attract the students by focusing on the qualities of pro bono, the social aspect, and the stimulating part, that the part of acting on something real. And when we are thinking about adding some rewards to participate in pro bono, we don't recommend them, because probably pro bono is not as competitive as other alternatives that the students may have. And while it's good to have these other recognitions for them, it's not going to be the main factor for them to be involved in the activity. And just to finalize this chapter, here you have some self-check questions, and you can read them and try to see if you understood everything, and this is it.